Out at home.
We might at 5:38 recommence the meeting, and I do apologise for those that we are once, and we are going to sort this out over the next month or so. We've certainly have had audio visual issues, but we are going to look into it. We will have the full video, including audio, available within the next day or so. It will be uploaded at as soon as the staff get around to it. We do apologise for that. The first, we don't have any items. Do we have items considered in the confidential part of the meeting? We will address that at the towards that point in the meeting. We don't have any presentations at this stage. If we just move to item 9, which is confirmation of minutes. Councillors, everyone read those minutes, of course. Any changes or comments or tweaks that are required for the last lot of minutes, or is everyone pretty happy with them? Cool. Do I have a mover of that motion? Thank you very much, Councillor. Seconder of the motion? Thank you, Councillor Towns. So moved by Councillor Dickinson, seconded by Councillor Towns. All those in favour? All those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. Matters of great urgency. We have had no applications. We've had no applications for questions with notice. Mayoral minutes. The mayoral minutes are as read. It's been another, quite busy month. Just a couple of things to note. We have had 2 days ago. We had the inquiry into the Wee Waa Hospital. Into Hunter New England Health. The splitting up of Hunter New England Health, but it also, of course, includes Wee Waa and Narrabri hospitals. That hearing was cancelled due to inclement weather in Sydney, meaning that the panel members couldn't fly out to Moree. Very disappointed, but they are going to adjourn that to a later date. There's a number of other things kind of ticking around at the moment. Just we've had to obviously councillors would have read about the fact that the Crossing Theatre it won't be open next week as we were hoping. We are still waiting, trying to churn through the bureaucracy, which is the New South Wales government bureaucracy, trying to get through the bureaucracy, trying to get the right people to tick off what we're trying to do. It's simply changing fire panels and some of the equipment in there, and it's you'd think we were trying to reinvent the word. It's just appalling level of bureaucracy. It's taken weeks and weeks and weeks, and council staff have done an incredible job. We've had a team of great consultants, but we're really just trying to wait for the paperwork to be ticked off at this stage. I've written quite a stern letter to the requesting assistance to the Emergency Services Minister yesterday, and we're just hoping that the Emergency Services, because that's our only point, that's our evacuation point for the whole Shire, is that facility at the moment. It cannot be used for evacuations. So hopefully that will be addressed. There's a number of other things going on. We're looking at trying to get some more done on graffiti around town. There's lots of bits and pieces that the staff are working on at the moment, so it's all good. But any questions from staff around the mayoral diary? We had next week. We've got a few of us are heading to the ALGA conference, which is the Australian Local Government Association conference in Canberra. That's always an interesting thing. I note that Narrabri Shire once again is probably the highest level of motions lodged by any council in Australia, and many of them were written by the previous director, Donna Osling, with our endorsement as councillors. But I'd like to see that continue on into future years as well, that we're providing such an active forum. But any questions about the diary at all? Anything? I'd like to move that. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. I do have a mayoral minute though. This mayoral minute, I'll just go through this agenda, this item. there's been a number of councils in the New England Northwest area are very concerned at the illegal tobacco trade in our shires, and this has been spearheaded by Glen Innes Shire, and we've pretty much adopted their motion with some slight tweaks. We're actually we're actually doing some advocacy work to the New South Wales Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure to try and ensure that the definition of tobacco shop at the moment, if you have a retail if you have planning approval for it to be a retail business, you can basically sell tobacco and it takes 2 seconds to get a licence. On speaking to police in this area, I can tell you this is a real concern, and crime syndicates getting involved in the illegal tobacco. There's illegal tobacco being sold in Narrabri Shire. There's vapes illegally being sold, and it's happening all through this whole area, and it's largely the belief is that the criminal gangs are actually getting involved in this kind of stuff. So we want to try and nip it in the bud. There are some moves by the New South Wales government to try and address it, but we don't believe it still goes far enough. We believe there's a lot more that needs to be done to address illegal tobacco sale. The problem is there's 3 layers of government, and it's all caught up in this handball game. Everyone's handballing it. The feds handball it to the state goes local, and at the moment it's caught up in a jurisdictional mess. So we're just calling for clarity over it. It's affecting the health of our young people. It's also affecting our crime statistics and a number of other things. So calling for action. So I'm going to move that. Is there any debate? Does anyone want to ask any questions or anything about that? Councillor Brown.
We have a place in town here, one that does sell, that's not a supermarket, that does
Correct.
sell tobacco. How is that going to affect their business?
So this is lobbying the New South Wales government to change the legislation so that planning you would have to get a particular planning permit to become a tobacconist. You couldn't just rely on a convenience store or whatever a dress shop. At the moment, a generic retailer can basically sell tobacco. So if this was enacted, it would make it much more difficult just to be able to randomly set up a tobacconist shop in any part of New South Wales. And the second thing is that it's an important part of what I'm proposing is that instead of it being a cost shifting exercise where they say to local councils, well, you've got to go and find them, you've got to go and do this, you've got to go and take all the legal action. We've also said that the federal and state governments needs to provide funding for local councils to be able to actually to ensure compliance of these changes to the planning laws. So I think it's good. I commend it to you as councillors, and if I'm moving it, but if there's any other questions about it, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and pretty much all the councils in sort of the New England and northwest area, we're all adopting a very similar thing. So, well, I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thanks, council. Monthly report. We've got a few. Let me just have a look here for a second. We've got the mining-related consultative committee meetings. Councillors, we've decided with the mining triple Cs that we put them through together in aggregate. If you've got any questions or want to make any comments about any of those minutes, then please speak up. Otherwise, do I have a mover for those for that? Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Do I have a seconder on those to accept those minutes? Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Nevin. It's probably the easiest way to say it. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you very much. Excellent. Now we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the Crime Prevention Advisory Committee meeting. The author is not here tonight and is an apology, but do any councillors have any questions or comments about those that Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. That being the case, do I have a mover on the motion, please? Councillor Towns, seconded Councillor Brown. All those in favour? All those against? I put it's in carried unanimously. Everyone, thank you. The local traffic committee meeting. Councillor Dickinson was at that meeting. Any comments you'd like to make about that meeting at all, or would you like to just move it? Move it. Do we have a seconder on that? Councillor Nolan. Any comments for or against? I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. We now move. We do have some work to get through, but we'll just move straight on to the resolution register. These are general managers' reports. Any councillors, you've all had a chance to read the resolutions register. Are there any comments or questions or queries for the general manager or any of the acting directors or anyone up here at all at any stage? No, okay, that's fine. Do I? Yes. Oh, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Item 13.3, Council Minute 52-2023. Have all the actions in relation to this item been completed?
I'll just find that for you. Thank you, Councillor. Which item did you say it was?
13.3, first page.
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As noted in the report, the project was it says the project completed with access provided to New South Wales Police. So I believe number 1 is definitely ticked off. In terms of number 2 and 3, reports on the council reports on the possibility. I have to investigate whether we have reported the possibility to you, and seeking funding is something that we do on a continuous basis. So I will have to report back to you on the confirmation of number 2.
That'd be great if we could have an update on that.
That'd be great. And also item 17.1.
17.1. Oh yes, yep. Yes, I was asking about the same one the other day. Thank you.
This has just been signed off, so it is imminently completed.
So this is the 40km/h zone in the Narrabri CBD.
17.1.
Yeah.
I've got road opening.
17.3. Okay.
Yes.
Different item. 17.1.
And one more. Where is it? 12.6, Council Minute 37-2025, the reward for vandalism offences to road signs. Has there been any report on that, if they caught anybody?
I believe that the police have interviewed people, but it's been very difficult to. They haven't been flooded with leads. But anyway, I think they've put their best efforts into trying to identify any offenders, but at this stage, it hasn't quite led to any apprehensions, unfortunately. But certainly sent out a warning signal anyway. Thank you. And the 40km/h signs in Narrabri they're still happening, aren't they, fairly soon?
Yes, it's sitting with Transport for New South Wales. So once we get that endorsement, there's quite a number of hoops we have to jump through, even though we've approved it. And once that's done, we'll get the signs up and the 40Ks done.
the bureaucracy of it all. Not our council, but everything else that goes on. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions, councillors, or we'll move on? Do I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Dickinson, a seconder. Councillor Navin. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. Thanks, councillors. We've got an item here which is item 15.2, which is councillor and mayoral fees. Recommendation here is that council sets fees as read. Has everyone read through that? Does anyone want to question that? It's just the standard. It's just the standard increase as recommended by the state government remuneration. It's still significantly less than any other state, I think, pretty much, from what I understand. It's but anyway, it is what it is. So thank you very much for your service, councillors. Do I have a mover on that motion at all? Councillor Nolan, do I have a seconder on that motion at all? Councillor Towns, would you like to speak to the motion? Anyone like to speak for or against or seek any clarity at all? I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously, everyone. Thank you again. Post-election review of the council's code of meeting practice. I might just put this through the general manager through to the manager of governance and risk, and just give his very quick top line on this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very quick. Within 12 months of the local government election, we're required to review our code of meeting practice. Mindful that there is a more comprehensive review of council meeting practices underway, rather than going through a full-blown line by line look at this. Like most councils, we opted to essentially adopt what we currently have. We present two options. One option, they're both identical. One option relates to that the public forum be recorded and live streamed along with the meeting that it relates to. And the other option is that it's not, and those are the only differences between the two options. So it's a matter for the elected body to decide which option you want to go with, because that seems to be the only area of disagreement from our briefing the other day. So
the only other thing that you put a change in was also a bit of clarity around councillors being able to attend via audio-visual link. I think there was just a slight bit of clarity that you put in that, and it was something to do with extraordinary circumstances, which I thought the way it was clarified was excellent. So councillors can't just say, well, I'm going overseas for a holiday. Can I attend the meeting via Teams or whatever? No, that can't be the case. It's got to be for an extraordinary reason. So, councillors, yes, we've got. We have to choose an option, don't we? In this, so it's either that the little section where people do a presentation at the beginning. It's either not streamed to the world or it is streamed to the world, and that is our choice. I've got my own opinion. You all know that I'd prefer it if people were just given the space to be able to speak to the people in here at the beginning, but it's your choice as councillors. Do we have? Can we just move into? I move that we move into committee of the whole, just very, very briefly, just very quickly. All those in favour? All those against? We've moved into the committee of the whole. Everyone. What does everyone think in terms of the option of that? Whether or not we have that little presentation section at the beginning, broadcast to the world or not broadcast to the world. Is there any sort of favours one way or the other? Any thoughts? Have it broadcast? Okay. And I guess we just get rid of that section. There's a section within our agenda that says presentations or whatever. We keep that in there, which is kind of awkward. I don't think we've had a presentation since I've been on council, ever.
No, it's very confusing. We have a presentation before we start. We have a presentation in the agenda.
Maybe we should just can that section before the council meeting and have the presentation section so people can present in the middle of the council meeting. And for it to be broadcast if that's the case. What does everyone think? Yep. So can you use your microphone? Sorry, councillor.
Yes, I think it's probably a good idea because I do get a lot of people come up to me and say, why has this person not come in to say something when they had? And a lot of the general public aren't aware that people are actually coming in to speak in these council meetings. So actually putting that to the front and having it there. But I also have the opinion of if you don't want to be filmed and you just kind of want to talk to the councillors, it can be difficult in that aspect. But it does, if you are willing to get on camera, it does paint a whole picture for a council meeting.
Do we have an option, maybe even being able to, there's an option that people can apply to do a confidential presentation to council where it's not broadcast or something? I mean, I don't know. And we can vote on it? No?
No, because the public forum doesn't form part of the meeting.
Sorry, you need to put your microphone on.
No, because the public forum explicitly doesn't form part of the meeting. So the public forum, which is where people from the general public come in and present, is something that occurs before the meeting. It's like a separate process that immediately precedes the meeting, but it's not actually part of the meeting, which means it's not subject to the rules of debate and all that kind of stuff. So
Different councils do it in different ways.
There
I've noticed
really isn't.
Gunnedah does it a different way.
yeah, so section 10A, which is the section that deals with closure of parts of the council meeting to the public, only deals with within the council meeting. It doesn't deal with outside. It doesn't deal with the public forum. And then I guess the issue then is, in terms of when you say confidential, do you mean just not live streamed, or you mean we kick everybody out except for that person? Like if we're going to treat it as confidential, we would have to kick everyone out except that person.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things that comes with.
I think this is
Yeah.
Look, this is going to only apply for another 2 or 3 months until the New South Wales government issues their new draft, meeting practice. So I think we should just adopt one of those options, councillors, and then we can go into a bit of a further discussion at some stage in the next few months, if that's okay.
Can I make a suggestion then? The public forum we have at the beginning is utilised as it says, a public forum. So if someone wants to come in and speak on something, that's for them. And then our presentation section is if someone wants to present on an issue that we're debating at that meeting, that's where they fit in. And it is filmed. It is live streamed all. Because that's how I would
have interpreted
perceive that.
It's just
the public forum, they come in, whatever they want to say, and presentation is on whatever it is that we're debating in the meeting that they're talking on.
We've actually, most of the people presenting in the public forum have usually been on one of those agenda items, which is interesting. And then we've had some people who have got a gripe, or they've got some issue to raise with council, and it's not related to anything that we've been discussing, and they'll present as well, between 3 and 5 minutes. So it's let's go through this over the next couple of months. Let's just decide one way or the other. Is it public or it's not public at the beginning of that public forum? Are we going to broadcast it? What does everyone think?
I think it's a bit hard to vote on it with three councillors.
This is only for 3 months, right?
Well, the current situation is that it is broadcast. Perhaps
Yeah.
we should just stick with status quo and then discuss it over the next.
Yeah, I think that would be the best to continue.
We
with
do
what-
have to adopt this tonight.
Yeah, until
we
the
have to
new
adopt
one
one
comes
way.
out. It's only 3 months. Yeah.
Status quo is that we do broadcast it, and my suggestion is, as chair, that we go with the public broadcast, which is what we currently do, and then let's thrash it out over the next couple of months when other councillors are here. But we do have to adopt it tonight, one way or the other, guys. So, do I have anyone who wishes to move it? Is everyone happy? There's no dissent on that one.
So
We've got to move out of.
yeah, but there's a couple of issues here. Aren't we talking about the forward and then there's something else there?
No.
Yeah, the only real change, the only changes were the recorded / not recorded, and then in both versions there was the additional explicit requirement for when a councillor applies to attend by audio-visual link, that it be for exceptional circumstances, or extraordinary circumstances, I think was the word, which is the way this council's sort of applied that rule anyway to date.
Yep. So nothing else changes. Nothing else changes at all except for that extraordinary bit, and we're just making it explicit that that section, the public forum, is actually broadcast live and also recorded live before council meetings. Yes. Do I have a mover on that motion?
And they're accepting the circumstances.
Yep. But we need to move out of committee of the whole. Do I have a mover that we move out of committee of the whole? Councillor Towns, seconder. Councillor Nolan. All those in favour? All those against? We're back in formal, everyone. Do I have a mover on the motion that we adopt the draft code of meeting practice with it being draft 2025 comp option 1, which is a recorded public forum, as read and as read in our agenda? Do I have a mover of that? Councillor Nolan? Councillor Nevin, thank you very much. Do I have any debate for or against? We've had plenty of discussion. Anyone in favour or against? Okay. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Where are we? This is item 15.4, post-election review of council's code of conduct. The council adopt the Narrabri Shire Code of Conduct and Procedures for administering the Code of Conduct 2025 is attached to this report. It is as read, as everyone, I'm sure everyone's read it. It's fairly standard, but we do also have to adopt that tonight, I believe. Any comments or questions of the Manager of Governance and Risk at this stage, councillors? Anyone want to ask any questions about that? It's fairly... There's the model code of conduct. So the Office of Local Government basically issues to all councils a model code of conduct, and then we have very little choice, and a lot of those clauses are ones that we have to adopt by law, and then we just have some around the edges that we can tweak as we so wish. Councillors, do I have a mover on that motion? Councillor Dickinson. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brown. Any debate for or against this motion at all? Put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously, everyone. Thank you very much. We've got item 15.6, which is the 25 to 29 resourcing strategy. I might hand it to the General Manager for her comments on this particular strategy, because it's an important tool for her to use in this council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, councillors, you'll be aware we've seen this resourcing strategy previously, so it has gone out for 28 days public exhibition, which closed on the 12th, I believe. For the resourcing strategy, we actually didn't get any submissions. For this one, just a little summary. So the resourcing strategy includes our workforce management strategy, our long-term financial plan, as well as our asset management strategies and plans. As noted previously, the long-term financial plan, there's 3 different scenarios in there. Each of them forecasts sustained operating deficits. So that's not a sustainable position for council. However, please note the unrestricted cash balance is increasing. This isn't new news. We've talked about this previously, but I just want to iterate we are doing a significant amount of work in the next 12 months, and you will see further long-term financial plans and scenarios with different revisions presented to you when we discuss how to improve this to make it more sustainable for council going forward. So you will see this again and again in terms of long-term financial plan, and we'll have further discussions talking about optimising revenue strategies, making sure we have a financially resilient future. Thank you.
I just think we should note, even in discussions with some mayors from around the area of late, many of the councils in our area don't even talk about depreciation. They just say, oh no, we're doing fine. Our council chooses quite a prudent route, which is obviously required by the OLG, which is to include depreciation. But even the minister of the local government minister is quite scathing about the having to include depreciation on many of the assets that council basically has to maintain. So I don't know whether you want to just explain just briefly in terms of our treatment of depreciation, or make a comment on that just for people to understand that.
You'll see in the next report when we talk about the operational plan, there's about approximately $17 million worth of depreciation in there. So I'm sort of jumping ahead a little bit, but I think it's the easiest way to explain it. So next financial year's operational plan, we are budgeting a deficit of $3.7 million. However, within that budget, there's $17 million worth of depreciation. That depreciation, we actually aren't transferring cash anywhere. We've talked about this previously. Also, we should be putting funding away into internal restrictions for our assets and to continue maintaining our assets. So we need to be doing that in terms of funneling money away, but the depreciation that's noted there is a non-cash figure. So the figure that we really need to look at in terms of making sure we have enough money to pay is that unrestricted cash, making sure we have enough unrestricted cash. OLG talks about having 3 months worth of expenses in your unrestricted cash. So I think that's what the mayor was getting at in terms of depreciation. It's not good to have a deficit, but it's to make sure we look at all the different factors that are included in that budget.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do we have any questions at all of the General Manager? And I just really commend her and her team for the amount of work that, and also to the staff, and particularly the managers below the directors, etc. They've really tightened their belts. Us as a council, we all just said it's time to tighten the belts. If the community out there is going to tighten the belts, then we need to do that as council, and I really appreciate all the hard work that everyone's put into doing that. So, any comments, questions? Do I have a mover on that motion at all? I think it was Deputy Mayor. I think Councillor Towns moved it, and seconded by Councillor Dickinson. Any comments for or against? I'll put that to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously, everyone. Thank you. We now move on to the operational plan as alluded by the General Manager. Is there any other details you wanted to speak? I think you said a fair bit, but...
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly summarise that, yes, $70 million worth of depreciation. We have a deficit budget of $3.7 million. However, as stated before, the underlying cash flow is stronger when you actually look at the numbers within that. We have a $23 million capital works budget, so that's a little bit less than what we have been doing, a more sustainable figure, because we are coming out of the gluttony of grants we have been receiving previously, that they're not as available currently. So yeah, that's a summary of the operational plan. This also includes the delivery plan, which is our 4-year plan, which notes all the actions for the next 4 years for this council term. Also in the report, it talks about some slight changes we've had since we put it out for public exhibition. And for this one, we actually did have one submission, which was from the Narrabri Dolphins Water Polo Club.
Okay, thank you very much. And just on that, the topic of grants, grants from both federal and state government have become almost as rare as hen's teeth of late, and it's a real shame. It puts real pressure on a lot of rural and remote councils like Narrabri to continue doing their works, but it is what it is, everyone, and we are going to just continue having to find alternative revenue streams. Do I have any questions for the General Manager? Any comments or concerns? Do I have a mover of the motion then? Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Nevin. Thank you very much. Would you like to speak to your motion at all, Councillor? Any other councillors? I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. We now move on to the ARIC Committee, the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee Annual Report. I've always thought of this as, it's a bit of an odd one that the ARIC Committee has an annual report. But anyway, it's a requirement by OLG. The recommendation here is that we receive and note the annual report. Any questions at all of the General Manager about this report? Do I have a mover of the motion at all, please? Councillor Nolan. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dickinson. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. I rudely interrupted myself then. Sorry about that, Council. We now move on to the ARIC Committee Strategic Work Plan. I might just get the Manager of Risk and Governance just to give us a very, very quick rationale behind this particular item, please.
Thank
Through
you,
the General Manager, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The LG's recently released guidelines require our ARIC to have a strategic work plan to guide the activities of the committee. Consider it like the ARIC's version of the delivery program. So it's a 4-year plan that covers what the committee will look at and when it will look at it and what reports will be brought to the committee and things like that. And so that's what it is.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the General Manager or the Manager at this stage? No. Do I have a mover on this motion? Councillor Towns, thank you. And I think it was Councillor Nevin seconded. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillors, councillors, if I'm going too fast at any stage, please let me know, okay? I don't see any objections from any of you at all. Just for context, we've all been through this. We've had workshops and we've had discussions and we've read it. So for those of you who are watching this, we're going through this at a rate of knots because we've all discussed this in great length. The item we have now is 15.9, which is the National Local Roads Transport and Infrastructure Congress. This Congress is taking place in Bendigo from the 11th to the 12th of November. I just get the General Manager to speak on this.
Yeah, so this report is to have a delegate. Please note, councillors, we don't have to have a delegate, so if none of you want to go, that's fine. I have been, and myself and Councillor Dickinson have been to this conference before. It is a really excellent conference. So yeah, this report's seeking a delegate from council. It is in Bendigo and it's a little bit trickier to get to, but we'll put it to the floor if anyone would like to be the delegate at this one.
It is Remembrance Day too, everyone, so it's kind of an awkward time of the year for some of us as well. Is anyone interested in going to this particular conference at all? We don't have to send anyone. Remember, it's never cheap to send people away, but it's certainly it's an important part of being a councillor. Anyone interested at all? Any staff going?
At this stage, we haven't had any staff. We have quite a few acting in roles. For this year, I've decided I won't be going myself, so I will work with whoever becomes the permanent director of infrastructure if they would like to go or not. But at this stage, we do not have any staff members going.
So we can always change your mind between now and the next meeting, I guess, if you want to change your mind. But it's just at this stage. Is anyone interested at that stage? I know it's a very, very busy time of the year for everyone. So do we just leave it? Well, we'll just leave that. We'll just recommend that council receives and note the report and happy days. Yep. So we just does someone want to move part one, which is that we receive and note the report? Councillor Dickinson, do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Towns, thank you very much. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously, everyone. Thank you. We now move on to the investment report. I do apologise. The Acting Director, Andrew Ireland, is unfortunately not with us. He's ill, I believe. So, but if any councillors have any questions of the Director, the General Manager is all over this, which is great. Did you want to speak to this at all? There's not really...
I would take the report as read. We get this each month. You would see that we're going slightly down. Interest rates have dipped. They're slightly coming up, but they're dipping. We also are spending more, as we're spending what we're meant to be, and there's slightly less income coming in, hence a little bit of a difference.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the General Manager at all at this stage? Do I have a mover on this motion, Councillor Dickinson? Seconder on the motion? Councillor Towns? Sorry, Councillor Nolan. Any debate for or against? All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Monthly financial report. General Manager, if you wish to just say a couple of things about that item, 16.2.
No worries, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our monthly report, which we provide to Council. As you can see, as of May, at the end of May, 31st May, we have a operating deficit of about $5 million. This is in line with what we had in our quarterly budget review. We have slight delay in grant income, which the team are madly scurrying to improve. However, there is a slight delay in grant income. There is also, which we've noted in this report, which we did last month as well, a potential risk of the withholding of the financial assistance grant from the federal government being delayed. We generally get that a prepayment around the 28th of June, but that is up to the Treasurer whether they process that or not. And we also do have, which is noted, lower than expected user charges and slightly, as we said in the last report, slightly lower investment income.
Thank you very much, the General Manager. Any questions of the General Manager around this particular item? Okay, do I have a mover on this motion that we accept this, please? Receive a note. Thank you very much, Councillor Nolan. Seconded by Councillor Navin. Any debate for or against? I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Narrabri Arts of Stedford request for the reimbursement of costs for the cancelled Stedford event. The General Manager and I met with a number of committee members of the Stedford, the Narrabri Arts of Stedford, and I know that not only were there a lot of very, very disappointed families and children and various others who are from our local shire, but also from around the region. I mean, we do have such an incredible asset, and it's been a devastating thing that the Crossing Theatre has been closed for such a period of time. And we do obviously apologise for all those disappointed families and kids and others who have been involved. And the Arts of Stedford are just such a wonderful group of volunteers, and we do really, I apologise for them on behalf of our council a few weeks ago for everything that they've gone through. It's a lot of disappointment. But the recommendation here is that we reimburse the Arts of Stedford for out-of-pocket costs as a result of the Crossing Theatre being available. As planned and agreed, we also reduce the hire fees for the event by 50% in accordance with the concessional use policy, of course. Is that for next year? That doesn't make sense, actually. Is that for next year or this year? For next year. So that's reduced the hire fee for next year's 2026 Stedford event, and then agrees in principle to collaborate with them to convene some kind of concert in the current calendar year as a goodwill gesture to those performers who were disappointed at not being able to perform at the event. And yes, we're certainly hoping at some stage, obviously, that some stage during July that the Crossing Theatre will be safed and it will be ticked off as being fire safe, which is exactly what council is looking for. We can't open that building until it is absolutely been ticked off by all the fire authorities. The fire authorities are dragging their heels at the moment, which is the subject of the stroppy letter I sent yesterday, but we'll get there. Councillors, do you have any questions about this particular item? Do I have a mover on this motion? Councillor Brown. Do I have a seconder on the motion? Councillor Nolan. Any debate for or against? I'll put that to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Crossing Theatre concessional use application. This is also related to the Crossing Theatre as well. Solasta Performing Arts. They've put an application in for concessional use of the Crossing Theatre to have some of their kids performing. The recommendation here is that we approve a concessional use rate of 50% of room hire to Solasta Performing Arts, and they don't meet the normal concessional requirements, but we can waive them in this case because many of the Solasta students were caught up at the Stedford and various other things that have been going on. But the event is also, the date is subject to change depending on when we can open it up. So are there any questions of the General Manager or myself about this particular concessional use item at all? Was that you move it? Moved by Councillor Dickinson, seconded by Councillor Towns. All those in favour? All those against? Carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that. We're getting through things very quickly, everyone. Infrastructure delivery status report. We just note the infrastructure delivery status report. Are there any updates through the General Manager to the Director just on any sort of key headlines of this one at all?
Through the GM. No, not a great deal, as read. This was requested by Council to bring this up monthly, and obviously we'll get more in depth as we move through the year.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the Director at all through the General Manager? Do I have a mover on the motion? Councillor Dickinson, seconded by Councillor Nolan. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thanks, everyone. We now move on to item 18.1, which is the draft communication strategy. This has been through an exhibition period. The General Manager might just wish to quickly just give a top line on this particular item. Thank you.
Hi, councillors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you have seen this before, it came a couple of months ago, the draft strategy. We've put it out for public exhibition. It's noted then we had noted in the report, we had one submission. That submission, when you have a look at the report, was someone who filled out the survey and agreed that yes, they thought it was in line with what they think council should be doing. So that was the submission. As noted, this was in the ops plan, and we put it only for the 1 year as the comms area changes quite quickly, as you can imagine. But yes, we're excited to get this in place and start actioning the actions which are within the report.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great move in the right direction. I reckon 99% of the problems of many councils and government in general comes down to communication problems, and so to put this front and centre is very important. Councillors, do I have a move of this motion at all? Councillor Navin moving it, seconded by Councillor Towns. Thank you very much. Anyone like to speak for or against this motion at all? Councillor Towns?
I would like to thank that one submission for putting that in.
Your acclaim is certainly noted. Thank you very much, Councillor Towns. Thank you for your valuable contribution too. Thank you. Any other councillors would like to speak for or against this particular motion? I'll put it to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. The Floodplain Risk Management Advisory Committee is the recommendation here is that Council calls for expressions of interest to fill 3 vacant community member delegate positions to the Floodplain Management Advisory Committee. We'll just get the General Manager just to briefly speak on this particular item.
We'll take the report as read. Floodplain Risk Management Committee Advisory, one of our important committees. It's quite exciting, so we're putting it out to, well, endorsed by council, but we need 3 extra members, 3 more members. It's a great committee to be a part of. You see a diverse range of information across the whole Shire. So yeah, I would commend anyone listening to have a look and put their hand up to be a part of this excellent committee.
Thank you very much, General Manager. Any comments or questions from the, yes, the Chair of the committee?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the family of Bill Foster. He was a member of this advisory committee. He was a man of great knowledge, and he really was passionate for a lot of the work that we are trying to do with the Floodplain Risk Management Advisory Committee, and he will be sorely missed.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other comments at all? Would you like to move the motion? Do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Brown, thank you very much. Any comments, other comments for or against this motion? Put to the floor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone. We're now moving at a rapid rate of knots. We now move into closed. Need to just give reasons for why we're moving into closed. Confidential. Sorry, through the General Manager to the Manager of Risk, could you just give us reasons for why this has to go into closed, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there's 3 items proposed to go into closed. I can only really speak to 2 of them. The first is the minutes, the unconfirmed minutes of the ARIC. Council resolved to send it into closed quite a while ago, and it's one of the recommendations, I believe, in the guidelines. And the reason we send that into closed essentially is because it relates to the detail. It goes into quite a lot of detail in relation to our systems around protecting our assets and our people and the organisation itself, and so it meets that section 10A2F of the Local Government Act. The second report proposed to go into confidential is the Strategic Internal Audit Plan, and again, the proposed reason for why it should be enclosed is the same, because it relates to potentially relates to, I suppose, potential vulnerabilities of the council in terms of its security of its council generally, councillors and staff and property. So that's why that one is proposed to kind of close. And the third report, if I just open that up, I'll be able to tell you quite quickly.
It relates to a private matter. Yes. To a land swap valuation, which
Yes.
yeah, which is
Yeah,
about
so
20
it relates
23.
to commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if it was disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. So there's, yeah.
So, councillors, does someone want to move that we move into confidential? Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Towns. All those in favour? All those against? We're now in confidential closed council meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. We're now out of closed confidential, and as is the requirement, the General Manager will just report on what happened during closed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 3 reports. The first report was the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee meeting on Monday, 19th May 2025. So the recommendation that was approved was that Council note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee held on Monday, 19 May 2025. Number 2, that Council note the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee business paper is available for councillors to access within Council's information system. The next one is the 2025-29 Strategic Internal Audit Plan. So the recommendation that was endorsed was that Council adopt the 2025/2029 Strategic Internal Audit Plan. The next report, Woomera Creek Road, and the recommendation that was endorsed was that Council approves the land swap and road opening/closure at Woomera Creek Road as referenced in the report based on the following conditions. A culvert will be installed at the landowner's secondary property entrance as compensation for the landholder's loss of land rather than a monetary exchange. B, Council pays the necessary survey costs for the land swap. C, Council pays for the necessary legal fees for both Council and the landholders as part of the land swap transaction. Number 2, authorise the General Manager to progress the land swap arrangements and sign the necessary documentation.
Thank you very much, Madam General Manager. Thank you, councillors, for coming out on a sort of relatively cold Wednesday night at 6:44. The council meeting's over. Have a great month, everyone. Thank you.